what is a good parent? How would you define what that means? Talk a lot on this podcast about what I think good, quality, effective parenting looks like. And I think that it starts with respecting our children's autonomy, respecting their curiosity, respecting their interests and passions, and from there, so that's kind of I'd say that's the foundation, is really having respect all around for our children as individual human beings who desire autonomy like everybody, who has interests, passions, and is curious. So I think that's probably a good way to begin answering this question. Is a good parent is one who respects their child. So, that obviously begs the question is what does that look like in real life from day to day? What it looks like is probably in a word, I would say partnership. The parent is older, wiser, more knowledgeable. They've lived a while, right? 20, 30, 40 years or more. And they've brought this child into the world who is dependent and ignorant. Completely dependent and completely ignorant. Over time, both of those things fade. They become less dependent and less ignorant as they experience life, as they gain knowledge, as they pursue their interests, as they satisfy their curiosities, which only happen when their autonomy is respected. So it kind of all of that kind of connects together, I think. So coming back to the idea of partnership, partners respect each other's autonomy and curiosity and interests, but they also don't let bad things happen to one another because they're partners. They have an interest in each other's welfare. They have an interest in each other's growth and improvement. And I think that's really describes the good parent, in my opinion. So in practice, the good parent is, when we consider that in total, good parenting is radical unschooling because of what that means and how that actually plays out, and how respect for autonomy and passion and curiosity is the foundation of the radical unschooling partnership between parent and child. Now, does that mean that somebody who is unable to radically unschool their child cannot be a good parent? It's a good question. The parent who cannot radically unschool their child or provide that sort of foundation, that sort of environment, is necessarily entrusting somebody else to co-parent their child with them. And that somebody else has their own goals and agendas and biases and practices that are going to come into play. So if you are unable for financial reasons or legal reasons, perhaps maybe you live in an area where it's, you can't keep your child home from school, then yeah, I think there are limits, because either coercively or voluntarily, part of your parenting is being outsourced. And so now you're at the mercy of these other people, and the type of parent that they're going to be. I mean, a teacher, for those so many hours that a child is under the teacher's control, they are a parent. So you got to ask yourself, how good of a parent are they? And if we go back to how what I described good parenting to be, is that what's happening here? Is that what teachers are doing? Are they respecting autonomy? Are they respecting curiosity? Are they respecting interests and passions? For the most part, no. At least not teachers in typical government or public or even private schools. There are schools that are modeled after this idea of self-directed education, and I probably wouldn't even call the adults that are involved with that school teachers. I would call them facilitators. Learning or self-directed education facilitators is probably more accurate. So those individuals are going to closer, be much closer to this ideal of good parenting because of the nature of their institution and what their goals are. So while your children are under your control, while they're home, let's say, if you're doing all you can to respect autonomy and curiosity and interests and passions, then to that extent, yeah, you're being a good parent. But then you force them, either you force them or the forces out authority outside your control, legal authorities, political authorities, so forth, are now forcing them into sharing that parenting responsibility with somebody else. To the degree that they do not respect those things, they are being a bad parent, and vicariously that sort of rubs off on you a bit, right? I mean, you might be 100% great parent at home, but now you're outsourcing that for some of the time